Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana, and welcome to part 2 of my review of the 20th anniversary issue of the Fantastic Four. That is issue 236 from 1981 by John Byrne. The story itself is divided into two parts. Chapter 1, which is 18 pages and concludes on this double page spread of Dr. Doom revealed as the mastermind behind the Fantastic Four being shrunk down to teeny tiny size in Littleville, and we'll see what Littleville is on the other side of this double page spread. So Dr. Doom is the evil genius behind the Fantastic Four, having been abducted and put into these machines, and their spirits or minds put into these small little bodies walking around, moving around here, this model town. You can see all the little details there, the central square, the river, and the outlands of farm, and so on and so forth. So Dr. Doom, he's got a big magnifying glass there that he's peering through to see the Fantastic Four, and he says to them, "My congratulations, Richards, you pieced all the clues I gave you into almost the complete picture. Of course, you could not guess the whole truth." So typical Doctor Doom, where he is actually claiming the praise for Reed figuring out what the true situation was in Littleville. So you can see the title of this chapter, part 2, is If This Be Doomsday. This is 22 pages of story, and there's a lot in it, so let's get into it. Doom explains here, your true bodies lie helpless, their minds transmitted into the miniature synth clones I created of you. Of course, it occasionally amused me to enter a robot facsimile of myself to observe you firsthand, and that is Professor Vincent Vaughn, the head of department that was having such a fractious relationship with Reed, and kind of treating Reed very poorly in his job as professor. And so Reed there is angrily realizing, and to add to the psychological torture by constantly putting frustrations in my path and somehow causing my thought processes to be addled to further frustrate me and keep me from recognizing Vincent Vaughn. All right, Doom, the ball is clearly in your court. What do you intend to do now? And this is a good bit from Byrne. So I like this. Doom asks, "Do? Why, my dear Richards, I've done all I need to do. The puppet master's clay captured you. My genius reduced you to mere playthings. As such, you are of no further interest to me. Therefore, I shall leave you all to live out the rest of your lives in the quiet, pleasant surroundings of Littleville, whilst I go to conclude the exercises which will see me restored to the throne of Latveria, as is my right, because that was the continuity at the time." And basically, it's as if he bows and walks off, his cloak spread behind him. There's a little colouring error there. Wright calls Reed after him, though he can't be heard. "You forfeited any right you might have had years ago. The Fantastic Four will find a way to stop you, Doom, I swear it." And Ben stops Reed and says, "Save your breath. He's turned off the monitors. He ain't interested in us anymore." So Doom, confident that there's no way the Fantastic Four can escape this life trap that he has placed them in. And how are they going to get out of this one? And it's going to take Reed Richards' genius to get out of it. So sometime later, the lights burn late in the Richards home in Littleville. I like this establishing shot. I like the spotting of blacks, the casting of shadow. I like the detail of the swing set in the backyard. That level of detail and thoughtfulness from Byrne is really great. Also, you can see here we get the furnishings of the living room area, including the detail of the Delftware there in the glass closet behind Sue, and even all of the individual books drawn into the bookshelves there, a little candelabra there on the side press. Great detail in this. So Reed is interviewing Alicia Masters' stepfather, Philip Masters, and he's explaining regarding why. Let's see here. So Ben is asking, what about Laughing Boy here? That's Philip Masters, the puppet master. He said something about us being clones, but he didn't mention his own miserable little bod. So what does Philip Masters have to say? He says, obviously I would not allow that traitor Doom to cork me into a clone body. So Reed asks, then what? You seem as permanent a fixture here as the rest of us. What was your arrangement with Doom? So the puppet master explains, a robot, of course, a robot body into which I could transfer my mind at will. This ring was the mechanism, so there's a ring there on his middle finger, but I've been attempting to leave all evening and it no longer functions. So he's being crossed by Doom. Reed examines the ring. This is the same kind of ring that Vincent Vaughn wears. Doom must have transferred into that robot just as Masters did into his. And Reed there is continuing to examine the ring. He says, but now Doom has no further use for the puppet master, so he's deactivated the transferal circuit. Ben asks, can he get it working again? Unlikely, Ben. The process is entirely different. And meanwhile, the puppet master sneaks away to take revenge on Doom, and he leaves the front door open as well, and off he's gone. Now, I just want to talk about how on this particular page, once Byrne has established location, the exterior shot of the Richards home, the interior shot of the living room, he'll pull away the backgrounds for the middle tier of panels there, and we don't need them in order to understand the space that everyone is in. And then he'll give us some detail again for the front door and the fact that Philip Masters has gone off into the night, and he'll give us even the amount of detail of a hat stand there for Reed's hat and coat as well, the ones he wears when he goes outside, for example, when going to work. So Ben is angry. If he really is a robot, I'm going to bust me a few of his gears. Reed tells him to let him go. Doom has obviously betrayed his erstwhile partner. The puppet master cannot go far. And now Reed is starting to think. We, on the other hand, have much to do. I'm not sure just what Doom means by the term synth clone, but we're also comfortable in these bodies that they must have been crafted from a cell or cells from our real bodies. That means that the potential of our superpowers must lie locked within these miniature forms. It remains to find a way to unlock that potential. Only with our powers restored will we have any chance against Doom. So Ben and Alicia, who are a married couple in Littleville, they've got some things they need to talk about. Off they go. And then this is an interesting little scene with Reed Richards. So he's really trying to concentrate, trying to work on finding a solution to get them out of Littleville and back into their original bodies. And Sue here, being very solicitous of her husband, says, can I get you anything, darling? You've been at it for almost 5 hours without a break. This is interesting characterization from Byrne. Reed is completely focused on the work. Please go away, Susan. I must calculate the tiniest detail of my plan. If it is to succeed, I cannot be interrupted. And everything in shadow here. So even though the lamplight is on, it's not illuminating Sue. So you have a sense of how Reed can really disappear into his work, and there can be that emotional distance when he's completely absorbed in his work and leaning there over his desk. Familiar as she is, declares Byrne's third-person narration, is with her husband's moods. Sue retires to bed. No dreams trouble her, but the next morning, Alicia arrives, and she's got news that Ben is gone. So Sue is there comforting her. Johnny's shocked. Don't worry, Alicia. Ben won't do anything rash. We'll find him. Oh yeah, this is the interesting part up here. Why did Ben go? They were up half the night. He says, if all this is a sham created by my stepfather, that he and I are not really married. He was so angry. He said he'd kill my stepfather, said he'd taken all Ben's dreams and turned them into something dirty. So that's intriguing. That's kind of like Byrne thinking through the adult implications of the situation the Fantastic Four has been in, and writing something that is accessible for older readers in terms of the exploration of the emotional lives and characters of the Fantastic Four because of this situation that Doom placed them in. So then we get a series of panels here where all of the robots in Littleville have stopped moving. That's very hard to convey. So really we learn it more from the narrative captions than anything else. Reed goes out in search of Ben, and he finds him on a hilltop overlooking the deathly silence of Littleville. And we even have the interesting choice of having the leaves falling from the trees as well. Like, is it because it's autumn there, or because the place is beginning to degrade and sort of die? So Ben says that he isn't going back. He's not going back to his real body. Reed responds, you can't be serious? And here we get interesting dialogue between these two old friends. Why not? Asks Ben. I got nothing to go back to. This may all be fake, but at least me and Alicia have some kind of life here. Maybe it's all a lie, but it's better than the truth we've been living. I love Alicia, Reed. I think I have from the moment I laid eyes on her way back, but the thing can't love her. And Reed starts to interrupt him. He says, no, hear me out. You and Sue have something like a normal life, but Alicia, I can't even take her in my arms without worrying I'm going to kill her. So Reed says, Ben, I understand how you feel, and I know what a terrible thing this is. I'm asking. We've all had a taste here in Littleville of what it might have been like had we never become the Fantastic Four, but we are the FF, Ben, and that means we have responsibilities, and right now we're the only ones who can stop Doom. So that really is, a major theme of the original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko Marvel Comics, that with great power there comes great responsibility. If you gain superpowers, then there is almost like a moral obligation to use them in the service of humankind. And what does Ben say to that? That's a load of bull, and you know it. This is really interesting from Byrne. When we first got our powers, that might have been true. The world might have needed the Fantastic Four, but now there's the Avengers, the Defenders, the X-Men, even Spider-Man, Daredevil, all of them guys. Face it, pal, the world just don't need the Fantastic Four anymore. So Reed, what's he going to say to that? He says, I can't believe you honestly think that way, Ben, but you know as well as I do that there's more to being the Fantastic Four than powers and costumes. We never asked for the job, Ben, but we've been elevated beyond being just superheroes. And yes, I admit there's no dearth of those. We aren't just people anymore, Ben. We aren't just heroes. We are the Fantastic Four, and you know as well as I do just what that means. But Ben is in depression. He says, nice speech, pal, but it don't change nothing. Go save the world again. See if anyone says, thanks, me, I've made my choice. And Reed walks off, and the leaves continue to fall and blow around. So, Littleville College 1 hour later, Reed enters with the other two members of the Fantastic Four, finds the robot version of Vincent Vaughn, and also a key in the robot's pocket. So this is Doom. This is how he's always beaten. It's his arrogance. It's his pride. He doesn't sweat the details of his plans and traps, such as removing this robot from Littleville, because Reed gets the key to the laboratory of Professor Singh, who was his closest friend on the university staff. So I like that look of real emotion on Reed's face there, realizing that Singh was only ever a robot. It's hard now to accept he was only a robot, but then he's back to work and he says, I was right. So this piece of equipment, this was set up in chapter 1. He says it's miniaturized, but it's a real particle accelerator. So this is bananas from Doom. Doom couldn't risk my recognizing a fake, even in my befuddled state. Now what I need to do is recreate the precise frequency and intensity of radiation necessary to duplicate the cosmic ray storm which gave us our powers. So Dr. Doom should have removed the Vincent Vaughn robot, and he should have removed a miniaturized real particle accelerator at Littleville's university, right? So if we can think it, why couldn't Doom think it out? And so we have to say it's because of his pride, his arrogance, that he doesn't do those things. So Reed is there thinking about the technical aspects of achieving this, and within minutes, there, it's ready. Alicia, I suggest you take Franklin down the hole. I don't want to risk triggering his own latent powers with an accidental exposure to the cosmic rays. So off she goes. And Reed is going to step forward heroically to test it and be the first subject. And so Sue says, you can't go first. If your calculations are even the tiniest bit off, you could be killed. And none of us know how to reset the machine. You would have died in vain. Let me go first. And so we have this competition of heroism. Johnny steps in, and finally Ben Grimm is back. Speech balloon off panel. You're both wrong. I'll go first. So here he is. And he's still angry. Reed is delighted to see him. Says, I knew you wouldn't let us down, the world down. Can it, Richards? Says Ben. Just don't say a blasted word. Let's just get this over with. So there he is. And the particle accelerator, it works on him, and he can feel the change beginning. And Byrne has the process of transformation include an intermediary state, which was the original version of the thing that Kirby drew in the first few issues of Fantastic Four, before he settled on this, the familiar, rockier form that we know from the middle point of his run on Fantastic Four. But that's a great sequence there by Byrne of the transformation. It worked, exclaims Ben. So, how does he feel? He feels lousy. How am I supposed to feel? I'm the thing again, ain't I? So Alicia arrives in after the end of the experiment, and there's a look of horror on the thing's face. Like he's so self-conscious about his monstrousness. Just great cartooning here by Byrne. Great expression of that horror. And then as he's hiding his face, really, really well done. And of course, this is a setup for a very moving moment between Ben and Alicia, where she says to him, when he says to her he doesn't want her to see him like this, because she can see in Littleville, unlike in her own body. And she says, my poor, foolish, wonderful Ben, did you think I only loved you because I could not see? I was born with sight, Ben. I remember colour, and I have seen you with my fingertips 1,000 times. I do not love you because of my blindness, she says. I love you despite it. And so Ben is turning around there. I love that expression on his face, how his eyes are mostly covered over by his brow there. He's kind of turning a little bit gingerly around towards her. You mean you've always known what I look like, what the thing looks like? And she says, of course, dearest Ben, and I've always loved you. So, and then Byrne puts in here, as she kisses the thing's rocky mouth, let us then turn away from two lovers whose next words are for their ears alone. And we pick up with Johnny, and he's out whistling on the outskirts of Littleville when suddenly he encounters these Doombots. But he's got his powers back. So the accelerator business has worked. They've got their powers back. Hot dog, he thinks, I slagged the creep. Our powers are boosted almost 20 times. So this is an effect of the particular setup that Reed worked up. So they're 20 times more powerful than they are in their usual bodies. It's the 20th anniversary of the Fantastic Four. That's why I suppose Byrne picked out 20 for 20 times. So the Fantastic Four are there. Reed Richards, the Thing. They take care of these Doombots. These were guarding the outskirts of Littleville. So we get some action sequences here, which we didn't really have in the first chapter. Loved the sound effect there, crunch, as the Thing slams 3 Doombots, snap, crackle, pop, destroyed. Elsewhere, Reed continues attacking them. Sue is getting in on the action as well. Yeah, it's good stuff. And Sue uses her force field to pop them all back into this pipe that they were emerging from, and then Ben closes it down. Munch, it's closed. So we're back into the story now, but Reed calls Johnny back. Johnny, stop. Don't attempt to fly over the wall. Doom may have implanted heat sensors along the top. And the Human Torch says, but none of the rest of you can fly, so how do we get over? And Sue says, leave that to me. So let's have a look. Now, her powers are boosted 20 times as well. I recently learned how to use my invisible force field as a means of travel, she says. With my increased power, carrying all 4 of us should be no problem. So Reed is advising her to be careful. Do not become too accustomed to the power levels in these bodies, he says to everyone. Don't move around too much. We can't see the edges of this column. Don't risk falling off. And so they're up and flying over the edge of the equipment, and it was taxing on Sue. So Ben is rushing off the force field platform, and this is funny. Okay, where's something I can break? And here they are. They're on Doom's control system. The desk from which he controlled Littleville. So Reed says, oh no, they're down on the ground there. They're down on the tiled ground. Up there, Ben. That is the only control console in this room. So they make their way up, and so it's all the business of them, managing in these tiny bodies. And then they're up top, and Reed says, there's a problem. Oh no, I should have anticipated. The primary power shuttle module, Doom has removed it. So, Doom might have left the Vincent Vaughn robot body in Littleville and the particle accelerator, but he's taken the primary power module. So now there's a problem for Reed to solve here. The thing says, let's see. So Sue asks him, was all this a wasted effort? Perhaps, Sue, he says, it now depends on how much of a creature of habit Doom is. So Reed knows Doom very well, and he's trying to figure out what Doom might have done and how that could be of assistance to them. So he gets the thing to remove the covering of the control panel, and then he asks him to haul up some cables, wires. So the thing does that, and Reed recognizes and discovers that he was right about Doom. Just as I suspected, Doom has built multiple redundancies into the system. So the thing asks, well, what does that mean in English? It means, Ben, we have a chance. And so work begins. For 10 hours, the foursome labors, following the terse, almost cryptic orders of Reed Richards. So we're not going to get a full explanation of what he's doing, but we get some little clues. He instructs Johnny blast the recycling system for the Littleville River. From this point, I'm hoping that Doom will detect what they're up to, or rather the complex circuitry in his armor, because it's necessary to his plan. So the river is loosed, and the water should flood the whole floor to an inch, says Reed. But there's no alarm bells ringing, says the thing. And Sue realizes that she's going to have to make a contribution now. She's going to have to go find Doom and lure him back here. And Reed says, no, Susan, I can't permit you to go against Doom alone. But she makes a case for herself. Please, Reed, she says, must we go through this every time a dangerous task falls to me? I've proven again and again, after 20 years of publication, that I can handle myself in an emergency situation. Besides, you or Ben would take days to search the castle on foot, and Johnny might seriously deplete his flame in a long flight. I'm the only one who can go, and you know it. So he agrees. And then we get her using her force field disc to fly through Doom's castle. We get all this detail of the antique furniture, antique armor there as well. A locked door presents no obstacle to the diminutive invisible girl. So under the door she goes. This must be Doom's private quarters. But who could be playing the piano so beautifully? This is great characterization on Byrne's part. The answer surprises even Susan Richards, and of course many readers too. Doom himself playing the piano with playing it beautifully, which means that he's alive to the emotion of the music as well. He is not a soulless monster, not entirely. I've heard him play before years ago in Latvia, but never anything so beautiful and yet so fraught with hidden sorrows. So this is great stuff here. And then another 20-year mystery concerning Doom. What about his scarred face? Cautiously, she advances. Doom is unmasked, she thinks to herself. I've never actually seen his face, I wonder. And so she gets a glimpse of his face, and you can see the look on hers. Oh, Reed told us Doom's face was badly disfigured in an accident during their college days, but I never dreamt it would be like that. A barely audible gasp escapes Sue's lips, barely audible to lesser ears. So Doom hears it. Who dares? He asks, and of course his face is entirely in silhouette, so we cannot see what Sue has seen. Is he hideously disfigured? Or is she shocked because there's no disfigurement practically? What is it? So he asks, who dares invade the private sanctum of Victor Von Doom? And here we get into sometimes what is a weakness of Byrne's writing, where he'll have characters explain what's happening to them. Ag, something pelting me like 1,000 unseen stones. Why is he saying that out loud? Why isn't that a thought balloon instead? But in any case, he realizes it's the invisible girl, and she taunts him in order to incite his rage and arrogance, and he basically just grabs a glass and traps her in it. So it's really well done. He puts on his faceplate helmet once again and says that you are free and have regained your powers, even in so minute a form, suggests, of course, that the others are also free. Doubtless Richards forced that traitorous puppet master to betray some weakness in your Littleville prison. And Sue thinks his ego is incredible. He refuses to give even the smallest credit to Reed's genius. So off he goes down the spiral stairs to the room in which Littleville is contained. And he says, now I shall squash the Fantastic Four like the annoying ants they've become. And here we go again, like, why is he saying this aloud? What is this? The floor flooded, electrical wiring passed into the water. Am I expected to blindly stride into this childish trap and electrocute myself? Thus do I demonstrate my contempt for Reed Richards and his unending stupidity. So he zaps the wire, and hidden from sight, it worked. Doom's energy blast has been fed back into the generators, but we have only seconds in which to act. Johnny goes. So Johnny flies up and starts burning Doom with his flame, and Doom, of course, is not impressed. You would pit your insignificant flame against me, he says. Let's turn the page. Learn now the error of your ways. This would be cool if it was a bigger panel, but Byrne is simply content to keep the story moving along. So Doom there is exclaiming, I am Doom, I'm invincible. It's working, thinks Reed. Doom's ego will not tolerate any suggestion that a foe has underestimated him. Johnny has lured him into position, and so Reed wraps around Doom's knees, and then basically the thing winds up his biggest punch, his Sunday best punch, and knocks Doom onto the ground, or onto the equipment, it seems. So this is, again, is what I would criticize. Why is he narrating everything like, something struck my foot, hurling me off balance? Why would he even say that? I'm falling towards that crude mechanism hidden in the shadows. This is the most egregious instance of what I've been talking about. Like, this is the worst one here. I'm falling towards that crude mechanism hidden in the shadows. Like, who's he talking to? And then this is it. He's electrocuted. The sudden discharge lights the room with enough candle power to blind a normal man. And that's connected with the return of the Fantastic Four into their bodies, including Alicia and Franklin. And unfortunately for Alicia, she's blind again. Everything has gone dark, she says, and Ben says, easy baby, I'm here, ain't nothing gonna hurt you now. So Reed, getting ready for action. Sue, use your force field to protect Franklin and Alicia. Doom will counterattack at any moment, but he doesn't. So, did they kill him? Ben wonders, have they killed him? No, Ben, he's not dead, but he's not quite alive either, says Reed. The tremendous power surge flowing through his armor must have tripped the built-in defense systems, throwing him into stasis. And yet, his pupils are fixed and dilated, as though he went into a coma at that precise moment. So, this is something unexpected that's happened. Franklin asks, the bad man's not going to be hurt us no more. And Reed responds, not in this condition, son. So I think we'd best do everything we can to ensure he stays in this condition for a while. So Ben picks up Doom, and they are going to take him back to the Baxter building. We cannot risk underestimating Doom for a moment. He's the most dangerous man who ever lived, says Reed, and we dare not allow ourselves to relax just because we have an apparent victory. And Alicia sees that the table only has 6 spaces, so where is her stepfather? They don't get an answer to that one. Reed says he was restored. If he was restored to his body at the same time we were, he will be long gone. And so off they go. But there's somebody watching them through binoculars from Littleville, and fools, says the somebody off panel, and it's Vincent Vaughn. It's the robot that Doom sent his mind into. Once again, they sow the seed of their own undoing by underestimating Doom. Richards is too stupid to realize that using my armor to trigger his crude transferal system served also to transmit my mind into the robotic body of Vincent Vaughn. Now I have but to wait until they are off guard, and a simple twist of this ring will restore me to my true body, and then I shall destroy. But he's interrupted by a rock thrown at his hand that cracks the ring, and it is Philip Masters, the puppet master. He didn't leave Littleville. He's still down there, and he has reawakened or restarted the robot denizens of Littleville as well. He says, you've destroyed enough, Von Doom. You've twisted and perverted my dreams of happiness for Alicia. You turned my Littleville into a stage for your trivial vengeance scheme. What is your hatred for the Fantastic Four compared to my hopes for my stepdaughter, he asks. I've reprogrammed the robots to serve my will and mine alone. So the angry crowd mob starts throwing all kinds of things at Doom, including a golf ball there and an empty can. And so they're going after Doom, with the puppet master saying, destroy him. Doom flees, knowing that should this robot body die, his mind, his soul will perish with it. He runs, knowing that he cannot do so forever, for as a robot, he will not tire, will not need to pause for rest, but then neither will they. So that's the ending of the story. Doom running away from the crowd, never being able to stop. It's a kind of hell he's in. But something else to note here is, if we turn back just a few pages to Sue finding Doom in his music room playing the piano, look at the way his face is rendered there. Like, we can't see it because it's in silhouette, but there's a suggestion of eyebrows like this. So is this what Doom's face would look like? Or does it look like that? What is his level of scarring? Yeah, it's intriguing. This is the face he should have. Does he have it? Sue hasn't said. Like, that's something that hasn't been addressed here in at the end of the story. We don't know what she's seen exactly, but it's interesting. It's intriguing. I think it was Jack Kirby. Kirby's opinion was that Doom isn't hideously disfigured under the mask. That's Kirby's position. But what is Byrne suggesting there? And there again we have, I showed it in the prior video, the repurposed storyboards from the old cartoon adaptation of Fantastic Four number 5. So you've got Kirby's art there, various different inkers over it. And that is pretty much the end of the 20th anniversary issue of Fantastic Four number 236. A real bumper issue with a really excellent, memorable story by Byrne. Very thoughtful, put a lot of work into it. Definitely he must have felt the challenge of creating a tribute to Kirby and Lee's Fantastic Four, and pulled it off really well. So I do hope that you enjoyed my review and commentary. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section. If you enjoyed my review, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.